Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on our channel or any Watchbox platform. In the description below, reach out to tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing a model that, believe it or not, is a 2020 launch. Blink and you'll miss it, though, because it resembles the 2016 Hublot Big Bang Unico Sapphire. This is, in fact, the 2020 500-piece limited edition Hublot Big Bang Unico Sapphire 42mm with a new thinner caliber 1280 Unico and a more wearable 42mm sapphire case. This watch combines everything that was great about the older watch with a more wearable and contemporary size. The watch is feather light, constructed mostly of silicone, titanium, and sapphire. The 42mm case, not terribly thin, still wears almost with a toy-like lightness. 14.8 millimeters thick, 52.2 millimeters from lug to lug, but let me assure you, it doesn't wear that way because you can see the shape of the case. It starts to arc down at its edge. So when I throw it on my 16cm circumference wrist, you can see that it doesn't wear as big as you'd expect from an Hublot. It doesn't wear small, and it makes an impressive statement, but it's not an ungainly, oversized thing. As ever, the shape of the case helps it to arc around the edge of the wrist, but you can see in this down the barrel shot that I have plenty of clearance on both sides. The strap is splaying outward. You can see the same thing from overhead. Though it runs to the edge of my wrist, the fit is good, and the only overlap really is the strap, not the lugs. The cuff shot, well, it'll fit underneath a jacket. It's still not a thin watch, though the new Unico is 1.3 millimeters thinner than the old one. We'll talk about that in a moment. The strap here, which is lovely clear and optimally matched in terms of clarity and color to the case, this is actually silicone, which means it is super soft and gummy. It has a striation pattern molded in. You can see it swells to match the thickness of the case, but also the taper of the lug hoods. And as ever with these Hublot Big Bang Unico models, I don't have quite the nails because I manicure for these videos, but you can see I'm still able to hit the titanium trigger release for this quick release strap system that allows me to easily swap out straps and change the look of the watch. Hublot offers innumerable strap customization options. Rolling down to the clasp, you can see it's made of titanium, which means it's feather light. There's an H pattern swing arm that looks like the Hublot logo. Twin trigger release, so this cannot pop open accidentally. And then it has a minderless system, and I call it a minderless system because once you tuck this in and size it up properly, there are no strap minders on the outside of the strap, and all the excess length tucks in underneath. So it's both secure on the wrist thanks to the buoyant clasp, but it's also clean with no excess length visible and flapping in the breeze. The gummy strap is one of the best features of the watch, and because a watch is a sensual product, you're going to appreciate that quality. The sapphire case remains as extraordinary today as it was back in 2016 when Hublot took what had been a genre for multimillionaires and made it available to the merely rich. This is not a cheap watch, make no mistake, and it looks its price, but it's not a six-figure timepiece, and that was the Hublot innovation of 2016. This is still sapphire, still a 500-piece limited edition, but you can see what's extraordinary here is that Hublot has recreated the entire Big Bang shape in that sapphire material, which takes extraordinary CNC or computer numeric machining capabilities. You can also see that the structural elements, such as the metal through fittings, are still intact, and that's right down to the screws and the pillars that assemble this multi-part case. The thing about sapphire, and it's not just that it looks great, it stays that way. It's harder than ceramic. It's second only to diamond in hardness. It's 9 on the Mohs scale, and the material, which is corundum, is super hard. Again, much harder than ceramic. And as a result, if you hate scratching and scuffing cases, if you want to know whether your pre-owned watch has ever been refinished, sapphire is the answer. No need to refinish. Never. Not a scratch, not a scuff, absolutely no adulteration since it left the factory. Titanium hardware for the pushers and crown, screw-down crown, 50 meters water resistant. With a screw-down crown and a 50-meter rating, this watch is surface swimmable. You can see the titanium H pattern bolts, they're little H's fixing the bezel to the case. And on the dial side, you'll note that the Unico is actually a really good-looking movement, and it's built inside out. Let me show you exactly what I mean by that. The best parts of a chronograph caliber are the chronograph, clutch, and the column wheel. You can see that the clutch and the column wheel are both on the dial side. You can see the lateral clutch moving away from and into contact with the driving center wheel. You can also see the column wheel, which has a little H bolt right at its center. It's all on the dial side. This is usually on the reverse side of a movement. You can even see Hublot's giving you a window into the escapement underneath the constant second subregister. The Unico, as ever, is still a flyback chronograph standard, so you restart and reset using a single push of the trigger. You can't do that with a normal chrono. Note that the chronograph minutes register at 3 o'clock contains a date, and it's a little skeletonized date inside the register. I'll activate the quick set so you can see it in action, but there is a date inside the chrono minutes register. And also take note that the chrono minutes register goes up to 60, which is a welcome reprieve from the 30-minute registers that are almost universal. 60-minute registers are more useful. You'll also appreciate that the HUB 1280 allows you to see right down to the base plate on the dial side with a lovely satin finish and then black polished screw heads. A lot to love about this watch. We'll turn it over again. You can see the pushers inspired by automotive pistons right down to the image of the piston rings on their flanks. Turn the watch, and here is the new thinner caliber 1280 Unico, replacing the original 1240 family. It's adjusted in what Hublot calls full adjusted, which means 5 positions. 43 joules, 28,800 vibrations per hour, ceramic bearings, bidirectional winding, stop seconds, quick set date, flyback chronograph, lateral clutch, and a column wheel. And you can see here the iridescent blue-purple of the escapement, both the anchor and the escape wheel, unlubricated, silicone, anti-magnetic, and they reduce friction, which extends the power reserve, helping this watch to achieve 3 days of power reserve when fully wound. You can also see that it uses Edicron, which means it can be adjusted very, very finely and precisely. 1.3 millimeters thinner than the previous Unico, thanks to a winding system that now takes up less space. Hublot continues to refine its in-house chronograph caliber. This is a watch that almost exhausts superlatives, but I like to be transparent. This is a timepiece for those who still love the brash Hublot wrist presence, of which this watch, even at 42 millimeters, has no shortage. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the Hublot Big Bang Unico Sapphire 42. One of the best qualities of this watch, if you go back to the light, you can see that all of the numerals are actually held out on a sapphire skeletal platform that floats over the dial, and it's very cool in its own right. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.